God somewhere in the mix. Like a lot of times, Alcoholics Anonymous and things like that, they're great, but they kind of put God somewhere in the middle, right? We put Christ number one. Amen? And that's the reason why we have the best success rate in the world. The only reason why. So it's just really cool to see what God's doing in the program. It's a 14-month program. That's another thing that separates us. It's long term. We are away from our families and away from our lives for 14 months. And gives us a chance to rebuild and kind of relearn how to be a productive member of society. And what we are Holy Ground. We are one of the ministries on the program, on the mountain. We call it the mountain. It's this place out in the middle of nowhere in Rardsburg, PA. And there's about 200 guys up there. We have other ministries like the prison team. They go out to prisons, minister to people in jail behind bars, and they're doing great things too. They share the word. They do skits and things like that. We got other ministries, the choir. We have other teams that go out and share what Teen Challenge is doing. And Holy Ground, we're one of those guys that we just like to have fun, and we like to share the word. And we'd like to share with you what Christ is doing in our lives. So today you'll hear some testimonies. You'll hear some music. We're not necessarily the most talented musicians on the face of the earth, but we like to praise the Lord. Amen? Amen. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Introduce everybody? Okay. Okay. My name is Alex, and I went through the Pittsburgh induction. That's out in Cheswick, PA, and I'm in my 6th month on the mountain, 10th month total. So I'm almost towards the end of the program.
My name is Sean Dovey. I'm from Philadelphia. I came through the Philadelphia induction, and I'm about to graduate this month.
My name is Chris Stubbs, 39 years old. I'm in my 8th month, and I come from Hampton, Virginia.
My name is Nathan, 25, I went to the Baltimore induction.
My name is Griffin Sambaugh. I went to the same induction as Alex. Nearing my 12th month in the program.
David in Pittsburgh.
I'm Steve, I'm 37. I went through Pittsburgh Induction Center in my 4th month.
My name is Kate Bowden. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I'm 31 years old. Teen Challenge.
My name is Phil, and from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. Went through the Philadelphia house, and I'm in my 6th month.
My name is Mike. I'm originally from North Jersey. And I've been on the mountain about a month, but I went through the Philadelphia Induction Center.
My name is Matt. I'm from Scranton. I'm 27. I went to North Carolina Sandhills Teen Challenge induction, and I'm actually in my 15th month. I'm a slow learner, so I got a little more time. But I graduate next week as well with Sean. So.
Y'all know the words, sing along.
We need all that we can get.
The splendor of the King, clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice, let all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness rise.
God and three in one. Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? All will see how great is our God. Name above all names, you are worthy of all praise, and my heart will sing how great is our God. Name above all names, you are worthy of all praise, and my heart will sing how great is our God. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? All will see how great is our God. How great is our God? 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 Sing with me, how great is our God? All will see how great is our God. Praise God. Praise God. That's not the right music. That's not the right music. I believe in the Son. I believe in the risen one. I believe I overcome by the power of his blood. Amen. Amen. I'm alive because he lives. Amen. Amen. Let my song join the one that never ends, because he lives. I was dead in the grave. I was covered in sin
called my name, and he rolled the stone away. Amen. Amen. I'm alive because he lives. Amen. Amen. Let my song join the one that never ends. It's because he lives I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, every fear is gone. I know he holds my life, my future in his hands. Amen. Amen. I'm alive because he lives. Amen. Amen. Let my song join the one that never ends. Amen. Amen. I'm alive because he lives. Amen. Amen. Let my song join the one that never ends. Because he lives. It's because he lives. How you doing today, church? It's good to see you guys. And I'm glad I'm alive because he lives. My name is Sean. As I said before, I'm from Philadelphia. I was born and raised in Philadelphia in a section of Mount Airy. And growing up, it is kind of hard sometimes when I look back, but I'm so glad that he brought me from, he took me out the muck and mire and seated me higher. I grew up in what you call the fast lane. And as I grew up, like the section of Philadelphia where I grew up at, you know, a lot of my friends and surrounding neighbors were Muslim. So at one point in time, I did believe another God was my God with a lowercase g. Okay, so as I grew up, you know, I started out real early. I started out drinking beer and smoking weed at a very young age. And selling drugs was like the thing to do. You know, I'm not proud of it, but it was just like the thing to do. And it escalated as time went. And as it escalated, I started using heavier drugs. I started taking Xanaxes and drinking syrup, cough syrup, and smoking angel dust. Now, as time went on, living this reckless lifestyle, I met a beautiful young lady in the midst of it, and her name was Taisha. And we ended up having 2 beautiful daughters. Now, I believe God used my daughters to bring me closer to him. Now, me and my children's mother, we wanted to start our kids out with a good foundation. So my oldest daughter, we started her out at this school called Spring Garden Academy, which is within the church. And that was, the name of that church was Highway Tabernacle. That's in Philadelphia. Okay, and I believe as, you know, time went on, as my daughter grew up, you know, Highway Tabernacle and the pastor there and the church family were ministering to my family. And it was a good start off with my oldest daughter. 7 years later, we have my youngest daughter, which is Serenity. So since it was a good start off with my oldest daughter, we started Serenity out. And I'm so proud of my kids right now because they're on fire for the Lord, you know. But as I was, you know, going to go pick them up from school and everything, and I was still leaning on my own understanding, and it was my children was like my baby mom started taking them to church, okay? But I still wasn't going to church. I still was believing in that false God, you know, certain idols. I'm glad he brought me to him, but sometimes it's kind of hard. Now, during that lifestyle, being deceived by the devil for over 14, 18 years, then my youngest daughter, she looked up to me and she said, "Daddy, how come you don't go to church with us?" And I looked at her and I was like, and now back in the day, now mind you, when I was younger, as a little kid, my mother used to take me to church, and she told me stories about how when I was young and sitting in the pew, how to praise and worship. Like I couldn't sit down. I just loved to praise and worship, right? So when my youngest daughter asked me to go to church with them all, right, as a group, we all went together. So I stepped into the sanctuary, and it was now this is at my home church now, because Highway Tabernacle was opening up sister church, which now is Resurrection Life Church, and the pastor there, you know, God uses people, man. I'm telling you. So we started going to that church, and when I stepped into the sanctuary, it was a young lady who sang the praise and worship. Her voice was just outstanding, and it was just like I'm sitting in there, and I'm just listening to her sing, and it just felt like home. I don't understand. You might know. I know you know what I'm talking about. Once his song started to manifest singing, it was like it was opening up, like he started working in me. So within that year of 2015, I surrendered myself to the Lord and got baptized. Me, my oldest daughter, and my children's mother got baptized. Now, all in all, you know, I got baptized, but I still was struggling with myself. You know, still want to do things my way and leaning on my own understanding. So I had one foot in the church and one foot out the church. And you know you can't serve God and money. Now, God disciplined me through the year of 2016. God disciplines the ones he loves. And he truly disciplined me. I'm talking about, I thought I was doing good. Now, during that year after I got baptized, Teen Challenge Philly House came and ministered at my home church. And I seen that, you know, other guys that was, you know, going through the same situation, battling with themselves and trying to walk the right path. I'm like, and had, you know, addiction problem. I'm looking, I'm like, now, so my pastor and my children's mother, we all had a talk. And it was like, well, Sean, you think it's time for you to commit yourself to this 14-month program and, you know, get your life right. But I wasn't ready to fully commit. Because I thought, you know, I was doing good. I was working a good job, making good money, and plus still living a sinful nature. But, you know, during that year of 2016, you know, God started taking things from me. He took that job from me, kicked me out of my apartment, and I was forced to live that lifestyle, which when I was trying to get out of it. So he broke me down to my weakest point. And I just couldn't do it no more. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I cried out to him. I said, if you're the Lord and the Savior, my Savior, can you show me a sign on what I should do from here? Because I was at my wit's end. It was either I was going to die selling drugs, or I was going to kill myself or be locked up for life. And I didn't want that. So he answered my cry, and he gave me a revelation out of this world. He said, son, I already showed you a sign. It's time for you to get your life right and commit yourself to Teen Challenge. You don't have to look for places to live, because this is, you know, you live on the campus. You don't have to worry about any bills. This is time where you can get to know me and what I've done for you. I'm telling you, like, I'm just so overjoyed. Like, Galatians 5:21-24, the fruits of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. Over such things there is no law. Now that I have Christ in me, I have such a joy in my heart for people, such a peace that no drug can ever fill. It's just a wonderful thing, and I praise God.
Amen.
And he's doing a wonderful work in my life now. As you trust in him, even in times that you have doubt, he's still with you. But you trust in him, and he'll guide you and make your path straight. And as I'm graduating, you know, I'm just so happy. So I will be staying on as an ITP, as an extra intern, you know, to help other people with my story. And that's my story. Thank you.
I just started doing my own thing and started smoking a little bit of weed and drinking a little bit with the older guys on the sports teams and stuff. And as the years progressed, I fell more and more away from sports and school and everything. And by the time I was a senior, I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was the man, though. I was like the homecoming king, the class president, and none of that really did any good for me when I graduated high school. I had no plan, I had nowhere to go, so I just started working in a pizza place. And I was starting to do cocaine, stuff like that, just with the guys that worked there. And a year went by and I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And my parents were like, you gotta do something. So I joined the military. I thought that was gonna save me from everything. And still the Lord wasn't in my life at all through that time. So I got to travel around a lot in the South, and then got stationed out in Hawaii. It was beautiful, but it was like a party. From the moment I landed, they handed me a beer, and the next weekend I was back to smoking pot. And I figured a way to not get drug tested the whole time, and really just went off out there and started doing a lot of stuff that I never thought I'd do. I was a model. I was in the Air Force. I was a model airman. I'd go to work. I did my job. I was a PT leader. I was up for promotion early. And then at night I would go out and do drugs and sell drugs and bring drugs to the base. And I got somebody else got in trouble, and then they dropped a bunch of names of different people. So I ended up, my streak of fun out there ended after 3 years, right before I was about to be transferred out of Hawaii to go somewhere else. And so I got court-martialed, and they sentenced me to either I had to take a dishonorable discharge, or I could go to the brig in Pearl Harbor for a year. So I chose to go to the brig because I figured that the dishonorable discharge would probably ruin the rest of my life. So I did the time in there. It got cut down to 8 months with the good conduct time. I got out, and my parents welcomed me home. They were like, listen, this is a fresh start for you. We believe in you. We know you can do this. So we started over again, and I got back on my feet in 6 months. I had a car again, and I started working with my dad. He has a business, and then I got my own place, and that's when things started to fall apart again, and I started to party again with the people that I used to know that were still doing the same thing years later, 4 years later, still partying in the same place, same people. Started to go out to bars more, and then I stopped working with my dad, which was a horrible decision because he owns a telephone company, and I decided I'd rather work in a bar. So I started working in bars and restaurants still, and that's when I really started getting opened up to different drugs and started doing Xanax and Molly and Adderall and Coke. But really anything I could get my hands on. I was like a garbage can for drugs, and I was drinking every night really. I don't want to dwell on all that too much though, because you all probably have stories, know people that have been through all that. It's not very interesting. It's just the same old thing over and over again. So after a couple years of doing all that, I was living in my apartment with no electricity and just made tons of money working as a bartender and bar backing and waiting tables, like all the money I needed for everything I needed, but all I did was spend it on drugs and taking myself out to eat and getting drunk by myself. And so I lived in my apartment with no electricity, and that was for like 6 months. And the landlord finally was like, why is the electricity on? And I was like, oh, I just haven't gotten paid yet. And she's like, yeah, you gotta go, like this is it. I was living in an air mattress in a nice apartment with no furniture, and it was like embarrassing. Like people wanted to come over and we'd be like sitting on the floor like smoking weed, and just everyone would be like laughing like, oh, nice place, and I thought it was funny. And so then I got kicked out of there and I lived in my car. I lived in my car for like 6 months, and luckily it was like from like April to September or sometime around there, so it was like decent weather. But a lot of weird stuff happened when I lived in my car. Like I would get notes on my windshield from people, and so then I was like, this is kind of weird. So then I started sleeping on friends' couches, and then my car got repossessed, so then I was like in trouble again, and that led me right up to last May, and my mom, who still like loved me the whole time, family support and prayed for me the whole time, was like, listen, are you all right? Like we need to talk to you. So they brought me up to their house, and I was like, just started snorting heroin, and she like started to realize something was different, something was off. And so they brought me up to their house for dinner one night. My little brothers were there, who aren't little anymore. They're both like officers in the Army, and they weren't looking up to me anymore. I wasn't an older brother than them, but it was like breaking my heart, because I just wanted their acceptance, and they just didn't want anything to do with me really. But my parents still loved me and were there for me. So then my mom's like, like I heard about this place, Teen Challenge. I want you to check it out. And I was like, yeah, all right, I'll check it out. So I looked online and called them, and they were like, yeah, it's 14 months. I was like, never mind, forget it, I'm not doing that, it's 14 months. And I've already been to a couple 30-day rehabs, and they didn't work out, and so she's like, you need to try this out. So I was like, well, I guess, you know what, I have nothing else going for me. I'm living on people's couches and borrowing money off people and really just like harming myself here. So my family was like, all right, listen, go through this program, and you can come home after and live with us and get a fresh start, work with your dad again. And that was after my dad said he never wanted me to work with him again or anything. So I was like, that's a good opportunity for me. If I complete this program, I can get a job again and hopefully get back on my feet. And I was thinking, well, I'll just do 4 months at the induction and then leave the program. So I filled out the application, and my mom's like, all right, set up a physical at the VA. So I called the VA, and they said, we can take you tomorrow. And I said, okay, so I'll schedule it for 2 weeks from now. So I called my mom and told her, yeah, they said they can't take me for 2 weeks. She's like, 2 weeks? Because I wanted to party for 2 more weeks before I gave me 14 months of my life. And my mom was like, that's too long. So she's like, all right, well, I'll talk to you later. She hung up. She calls me back like an hour later. She's like, I scheduled an appointment at my doctor's, like for the physical and all the immunizations. She's like, we're going tomorrow. And I was like, great. So that canceled my whole plan for this party. That was on a Wednesday. So then she's like, all right, we'll go, coming back up the house. So I partied for like 3 days really hard, and she like couldn't really do anything about it. I just had, for some reason, I was selfish this whole time and had to do what I wanted to do and get it in. And so then Sunday came around, and it was Mother's Day, May 10th or something like that last year. And the day came when it was time for me to leave, so we got in the car, and she chose the North Carolina induction in Sandhills, the farthest one away that she could possibly take me, because she knew if I went to Philadelphia, which was 2 hours away, I would have left. So she drove me down there on Mother's Day, and the whole time I was like coming off drugs, and it was a miserable ride for me, which I thought, but it was like the best day of her life, I think, and she was like laughing and telling jokes and buying me ice cream, and I was like, I'm sorry, this is your worst Mother's Day ever. She's like, no, this is my best Mother's Day ever. And she could just feel that this was the right move for me to be going into this program. So we get down there, and she drops me off, and I remember like standing in front of the building. It was like a farm in the middle of nowhere, and I remember standing in front of the building and just like looking at her driveway, crying and like waving, and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, no, wait. I was like, no, stop. And she just kept driving, and that was that. So then I was stuck there, and every day I wanted to leave, but I couldn't leave because I was 11 hours from home, no car, no phone, no money. So I was forced to stick it out. So I stuck it out, and each day got a little bit better, each week got a little bit better. And then I started to have an experience with God, and kind of like reconnected with everything I learned growing up. And so I graduated the 4 months, and I wanted to leave, but then I was like, well, I made it 4 months. I may as well go up to the mountain and see what that's all about. So we came up to the mountain, as they call it, in Rayersburg, where we're all at, and you spend 10 months there. I got there, and the Lord continued to work through me and put me in ministries I was supposed to be in, and helped me. I just got involved with a lot of good stuff there, and like the drug awareness team, the softball team. Had a lot of fun, and learned a lot. And my relationships with my family have strengthened like immensely. I have like the closest relationship with my parents I've ever had, I think, at this point. And my brothers now like respect me and look up to me again. I actually got to go on a 4-day pass in May, and got to go to my brother's commissioning as a first lieutenant in the Army, so I was really proud of him, and I just couldn't even believe it that we were all just together as a family and no one was pointing fingers or anything like that. So that was in May, and then in June I was supposed to graduate last month, and I did something stupid, got in a little bit of trouble. So they gave me extra time, and that was like devastating in the last, like I'm about to leave, to give me more time. But it actually turned out to be a blessing because it gave me an extra couple weeks to work on stuff that I didn't even realize I had missed out the whole time I was there. So those programs really helped me out. And then I've just joined this ministry 3 weeks ago, actually, right when I got the extra time, and I was like, oh, I need to join a ministry to get me through this last month because I'm twiddling my thumbs and I'm just itching to go. So I joined this ministry, and I wish I joined it 10 months ago because this is the best ministry. We get to go out, bless people, talk to people. We have a great time, and it's really helping me out too. Like, I'm sure we're hopefully blessing you, but being here is blessing me too. Like, I'm able to tell my story. I've never told anybody my story, so you're the elite. So. The last thing I want to say is, how many of you have heard of Teen Challenge before? Oh, so a really good number. So, all right. Well, we'll all be here if you have any questions or want to talk or anything. And actually, we have a festival every year in July called Celebrate. And it's actually next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Rayersburg, where they have music, concerts, fireworks, food vendors, stuff like that. So just want to open an invitation to any of you that want to come. And you're more than welcome. And thanks again for having us. Sorry we were late. We really try our hardest, but we fall short. But thank you so much, guys. God bless you.
Jesus, lover of my soul. Jesus, I will never let you go. You've taken me from the miry clay, set my feet upon the rock. Now I know I love you. I need you. Though my world may fall, I'll never let you go. My Savior, my closest friend, I will worship you until the very end. Jesus, lover of my soul. Jesus, I will never let you go. You've taken me from the miry clay, set my feet upon the rock. Now I know I love you. I need you. And though my world may fall, I'll never let you go. My Savior, my closest friend, I will worship you until the very end. Jesus, lover of my soul. Jesus, I will never let you go. You've taken me from the miry clay, set my feet upon the rock. Now I know I love you. I need you. And though my world may fall, I'll never let you go. My Savior, my closest friend, I will
Thank you very much. Yeah, we love to worship the Lord. We like to have fun. Just to go over a few things real quick. Well, you know what? We'll go ahead. We have a couple testimony videos for you, a couple things to play. I think we have enough time to go along. If we could turn the lights off.
Seems like all I could see was the struggle, haunted by ghosts that lived in my past, bound up in shackles of all of my failures. Is our God, age to age He stands, and time is in His hands, beginning and the end, beginning and the end. The Godhead three in one, Father, Spirit, and Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? And all will see how great is our God. Name above all names, you are worthy of all praise, and my